MMA Now, powered by Film On TV Network.
I'm David Canon, and welcome to Film On TV's MMA Now, sponsored by Gustoso Aguardiente Artisanal Rum. Live life with passion, live life with Gustoso. And we're here on location at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, fight capital of the world for UFC 196, where UFC featherweight champion Conor McGregor will face Nate Diaz in a welterweight matchup. In the co-main event, UFC women's bantamweight champion Holly Holm will take on Miesha Tate to defend her title for the first time. Joining me is MMA Now correspondent Ryan Shepard, who is on hand at the press conference. Ryan, how you doing?
Good, David. How's it going?
Pretty good. Originally, this was slated for an Ultimate Media Day,
Right.
more of a scrum-type environment. The UFC swapped it out for a press conference. Do you think this had to do with the Diaz factor coming in for Dos Anjos?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with it. They didn't have the lead-up time that they had for the previous matchup, so I think it allowed them to get the guys together again, let the media come in and ask them some more questions, and obviously let the heat get turned up a little more on a fight that was already red hot.
There were definitely some fireworks, which you'll see right here. But before we get into Diaz and McGregor, let's talk a little Holly Holm and Miesha Tate. Holm and Miesha Tate, it seemed to be the complete polar opposite of McGregor and Diaz. Miesha Tate said she felt like McGregor and Diaz were flipping each other off under the table subliminally, and that her and Holm were making each other friendship bracelets. What do you think about those comments?
Well, I love the comments for one, and I don't know if they were so subliminal. Those guys could have been doing anything today, but I mean, the girls were very much on point with their assessments of each other. I think Miesha coming across very confident again, same as in open workouts. Holly also confident, but she always seems to take the humble route.
Holly Holm, the preacher's daughter, there's something about her. She doesn't talk that much trash. She just goes about business as usual. Do you think this is fate or her time, or do you think that Tate has a chance to upset her?
I definitely think Tate has a chance to upset her, but I also think this is undoubtedly Holm's time to shine. This is her one chance to really prove to any naysayers that are out there that the knockout with Ronda in November wasn't a fluke, that she can come back and put on a good performance in her first defense of her title.
But do you think that she can really do that against Miesha Tate, who's lost, who was TKO'd by Kat Zingano, who I thought should have gotten the shot, and she's kind of been out of the limelight due to personal issues. But do you think that Miesha deserved this title shot?
I think she did. She's coming off a long string of victories. She's very confident, and she can make this a very ugly fight and one that's going to test Holm quite a bit, I think, if it goes into the later rounds.
Don't expect any fireworks tomorrow at the weigh-ins when Holm and Miesha Tate face off. But let's talk Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. This thing has gone viral. It's been all over social media, the internet, TV, the face-off. Before we get into the face-off, let's talk about the actual press conference. Do you think Diaz was the same as he was last week during their press conference in Torrance?
McGregor has the gift of gab. It seems like, that kid in class who was always has all the answers. As soon as the teacher says something, well, he's that guy. No matter what's thrown at him, no matter what reporter asks what question, no matter what Diaz says, he's got the perfect comeback every single time. And he looked great at the press conference. Nate, not so much. But hey, who am I to say who does the better trash talk here?
I'm going to disagree here. Nate did a better job today in today's press conference. He had a comeback for some of McGregor's blurbs. He said, "Who are your training partners?" Something that he said last week, but he really behooved on that this week. He kind of made a joke about Ido Portal and who's that goofy guy. And I think even though McGregor got off his usual barbs, I really feel like Nathan had something a little extra today.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And who knows, maybe Nate's trying to play his own little mind games, trying to get in the mind of McGregor a little bit. If McGregor's always the cool, calm fighter coming in who's done all the playing all the mind games before. So maybe if he can needle what hits close to home for McGregor, then that'll make a difference come Saturday night.
And unless you were sleeping under a rock, everyone's seen the face-off. McGregor and Diaz. McGregor took a swipe at Nate Diaz's right hand as they were facing off. What were your initial thoughts seeing that?
Personally, I was waiting for it. I mean, I think you could just tell both fighters were a little on edge as the confrontations grew in the press conference. So I wasn't really surprised something went down. I was a little surprised to see such a sharp swipe or swing at Diaz's hand that was either touching McGregor's face or about to.
Someone tweeted me, this is Strikeforce on CBS all over again, where Jake Shields was interrupted by Mayhem Miller, and there was, again, Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, Gilbert Melendez getting into it with Mayhem Miller. What do you think? Do you think this was there were some similarities between them? Because right away, Jake Shields jumped onto the stage, and that's where the mayhem started, and the other members of Diaz's crew started coming up, including Nick.
Right. Well, you got to commend the UFC and the security staff of the MGM. They handled it really well, got in between everyone, so nothing else happened after that. But it might look a little bit like that, but I got to say one thing. This is really good for combat sports in general. Boxing has taken a shot in its popularity over the last few years, and I think these are the things that help propel the UFC to the top and MMA to the top. You need people disliking each other in press conferences. You need some antagonism going on to sell fights, and that's what these guys are doing. This will be undoubtedly the biggest UFC event to date, and this is the reason why. You got two guys everybody wants to see fight, and they proved why today.
I'm curious to see what's going to happen tomorrow during the weigh-ins when these two face off. Will there be more security? Will that be beefed up? What do you think?
Well, you know it's going to be beefed up a little bit. Even though Dana looks like a pretty strong guy up there, he might not want to be the only one in between them this time to make sure nothing happens.
Well, stay tuned and keep it locked here because we're going to bring you the weigh-ins and the face-offs tomorrow. So for Film on TV and MMA Now, I'm David Cano. That was Brian Shepard, and this has been brought to you by Gustoso Aguardiente Artisanal Rum. Live life with passion. Live life with Gustoso.
MMA Now.